Most of us buy a car based on features such as mileage or passenger room. Usually cost is a factor. But do you know how likely your car is to get stolen? In today's Injuries Are Personal with Reynolds Law, attorney Carl Reynolds is here to talk about how stolen car statistics can actually impact your wallet. Good to see you, Carl.
Great to see you, Stephanie.
All right, I admit I don't particularly enjoy car shopping, but if there's one thing I have never in my life considered is whether or not my car is going to get stolen when I'm picking one. How does this impact costs to me down the road?
Yeah, most people don't consider it, and frankly, it shouldn't be probably a top 5 consideration. But if you're on the fence with a vehicle, it might be worth doing some research to find out how often your vehicle is targeted by would-be thieves and how that might impact your wallet, because insurance rates are based in part on risk, and the higher the risk, the higher the rate. That's why teenagers typically pay the higher rates, because they tend to be higher risk drivers. Well, same thing with vehicles. The higher the risk of the vehicle, the more you end up paying in insurance rates.
Okay, so I would expect, a fancy sports car or something like that to be a higher risk for being stolen, because obviously they get more money on resale or whatever thieves do with stolen cars. What is the most prevalently stolen car here in the U.S.?
Well, I did some research on this, and I was like you, Stephanie. I would figure, some higher end vehicle, some high value vehicle stuff with full gadgets, things like that. But in reality, it's older model vehicles, because they tend to have less theft deterrent devices in them. And also, if they're in larger use, their parts are now more valuable. So the number 1 is actually a Honda Civic. Number 2 is a Honda Accord. And number 3 is a Ford F-150. So Honda occupies the top 2 spots, not because I don't think necessarily they're easier targets for thieves, although the older models don't tend to have theft deterrent devices in them or tracking devices to be able to find where they are if they are stolen. But because of how many are on the roadway, their parts are more valuable because they're in higher demand. The F-150, number 3 vehicle, you're dealing with also a lot of rural areas. And a lot of times these thefts are done as a matter of convenience to further other crimes. And so let's say you're going to loot a house or a business. What better vehicle to use than a truck that has storage space to be able to throw things in the back? So I think that's why the truck ends up in the top 3.
Interesting, too, because both I know from doing car research with my kids, the Civics and the F-150s are very popular cars. So there's a lot of them out there, probably a little easier to blend in with the surroundings if one is stolen. So from an insurance point of view, if I'm comparing or trying to compare apples and apples, say a Honda Civic, and I'm not good with cars, but maybe like a Toyota Corolla, right? Would I end up with a higher insurance rate if everything else was considered equal because of its stolen car possibility? Is that how that works with risk?
It's a possibility, and it depends on the coverage that you purchase. So the kind of coverage that pays for a stolen vehicle, for example, is comprehensive coverage on your own policy. You have collision coverage that covers you in the event that your car is involved in an accident, but comprehensive coverage covers your vehicle in the event that it's damaged or lost outside of a motor vehicle collision or its use as a normal transportation device. So hail damage, for example, or the roof of your garage caves in, or in the event that it gets stolen, comprehensive coverage pays for that. So you would need to check with the insurance company. And you can run that scenario by the insurance company. If you're trying to compare apples to apples, so to speak, and you're on the edge of purchasing a Toyota versus a Honda versus a Ford, Chevy, whatever, you can, if you've narrowed it down, you can call the insurance company and say, hey, I've got this vehicle and this vehicle. This is the coverage I want. Are they the same rates? Or are they different rates?
And I have a feeling
it'll depend on the insurance company.
I have a feeling I should know the answer to this last question quickly, because I am the one that buys the insurance in my house. All of us do have stolen coverage, though, right? Because comprehensive is part of mandatory coverage in Florida. Is that correct?
It is not.
Okay, so we have to have comprehensive.
Correct. If you don't have comprehensive coverage, then you're most likely out of luck. In some instances, if you have homeowners insurance, it possibly could cover theft, especially if it was in the garage, it's part of the house, but if it's parked on the curb, most likely not. So correct, you got to have comprehensive coverage if you want to cover a stolen vehicle. No, in Florida, all that's required is property damage, which pays for damage done to other vehicles through your own negligence.
I know you've taught us that before, but I got to tell you, there is so much to remember in insurance. Adulting is exhausting. All right, if you want to be protected from stolen cars, you need comprehensive coverage. For information about any legal questions and especially that confusing insurance, go to injuriesarepersonal.com to talk to Carl. We'll be right back.